Am I the jerk for calling my mom when my husband refused to listen to me? I, 26, have recently moved into my first home. I am also for months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been very hard. I have horrible morning sickness. It reached a really bad point where I passed out, hit my head, and my doctor admitted me to the hospital for a week. When I got home, my husband allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. They were evicted, I don't know why. One room was my office, was tossed into our room, papers everywhere. The house was a complete wreck. Trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. I started to cry. It was like a light flipped. My husband was no longer the same. My husband told me it wasn't that bad. My reply was, fine, then you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up. Completely exhausted, I fell asleep for hours. I woke up and went to get a drink of water. I couldn't. Every glass we own is scattered around the house. They didn't clean a single thing. I passive-aggressively started to pick up the dirty dishes and washed them the following morning. I was trying my best to work when their kids were crying non-stop, banging on the walls, so on. Their mom was in her room for hours ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me over how I didn't make his brother's wife feel welcome in our home by helping with their kids when she was tired, then continued to complain how nothing was done while he was at work all day in the house. Yep, the same one he didn't clean. That led to a fight where I told him I am too sick to have company and they need to leave, to which he replied they are his family and he won't kick them out. I started to cry again. I was beyond frustrated, exhausted. I physically couldn't do it anymore. I called my mom asking if I could come stay with her, telling her the whole story in front of my husband, who at this point was completely shocked, angry. Also, I could tell he wasn't sure what to do. My mom came with my brothers. I have 3 older brothers. My mom, super angry, told my husband, since your family can stay, so can we. My mom quickly took charge. I was sent to bed. My brothers started cleaning, complaining loudly at how disgusting my Bill family is, along with what a horrible husband my husband is for putting me through this while I am sick. I got a text message from my mill for calling me an A for not helping my husband clean up the house and putting my Bill in an uncomfortable position by having my mom boss him around. Am I the jerk for giving away my brother's parrot? My brother Don has an African gray parrot. He fell in love with our uncle's parrot when we were young. He always wanted one, and when he got a job where he could take care of one, he got it. Don was neurodivergent. He had trouble connecting with people, but he loved that bird, and it seemed to return the affection. Don didn't like to travel, or leave his home, or do much besides work, play video games, collect Pokemon stuff, and interact with his parrot. I, on the other hand, try and get out of town whenever I can. I also use every second of my vacation time and PTO. Don passed away just after New Year's. He didn't have a girlfriend, much less a wife. He did have a will and he left me everything, including Ash, his parrot. I don't want his parrot. Trust me, after listening to my brother talk about African gray parrots for the last 20 years, I know more about them than anyone normal should, including that they can live up to 60 years. That would have been great for Don. I, on the other hand, am not planning on taking care of any human children. I have for 60 years. I talked to my parents to see if they would take him. They said their condo doesn't allow pets. I checked with the rest of our family and nobody wanted to make that commitment. I contacted a local bird rescue, but they only take wild raptors. I tried the zoo. They do not accept birds. I guess there's a chance of diseases or something. My brother loved this bird, so I wasn't going to do anything stupid with it. Ash was actually growing on me. I was considering keeping him. Lucky for me and Ash, my uncle finally got back to me. His parrot had died a couple of years ago, and since he is in his late 40s, he didn't adopt a new one. I gladly invited him over to see if he liked Ash. He told me that he and his old bird has met Ash, and even been over to Don's house for a playdate before. It was excellent. My uncle knows more about them than my brother did, and now I have that information stuck in my head. Ash went to live with my uncle. I thought it was the perfect solution, until my mom called to chew me out for imposing a bird on my uncle. He doesn't make that much money and birds are expensive to take care of, I guess. Not that it was any of her business, but my brother left me a nice chunk of change and an impressive collection of Pokemon stuff. I had already told my uncle that I would be paying for food and vet bills for Ash. I even volunteered to birdsit him if my uncle needed and I'm on town. I know Dawn would want that. She still said that it was a bad decision to give her brother the bird. I probably didn't improve our conversation by giggling when she said that. I honestly think I did right by everyone involved. But my mom disagrees. I need someone with no skin in the game to tell me if I'm missing something. Am I the jerk for telling my sister she isn't welcome in my home after she fought with my son? My son, 17 meters, loves the water. Ever since he was little, he's always wanted to be either at the beach or the pool. He loves to swim, surf, etc., and I mean it when I say it's his favorite thing. We live near a beach, so sometimes he'll just go sit at the beach for a while. It's something he's been doing since he was 12. My sister and her kids were visiting and it was going fine, but then I noticed my son was never home. I asked him about it and he said that it's just really overwhelming at the house because his cousins never leave him alone, the 8 and 9-year-old girls that adore him, so he just goes to the beach to avoid them. I told him I understood and talked to my sister who said she'd talk to them. Well, yesterday I came home to my nieces sitting in the living room watching a movie. My son and sister were nowhere to be found. Neither of them were answering the phone either. I'm not usually concerned, but my son always sends me a text or answers my phone calls at least. I got the girls and went to the beach and found my son at his usual spot. But my sister was there too and she was yelling at him. She said something along the lines of, "You do realize that you aren't in some film where the main character is like connected to the sea or as magic ocean powers, right? Like, you realize that you aren't like that Percy Jackson character and your dad isn't some sea god." My son looked incredibly upset and he has an explosive temper, so I knew he was about to say something crazy, so I immediately jumped in and asked my sister what the hell her problem was. He looked taken aback but said that she told my son to watch the girls while she went to get food, but when she came back he wasn't there and the girls were alone. My son insists that he said he was busy, but my sister insists that he didn't. They went back and forth on this without letting me get a word in, and I eventually just told my sister that this wasn't working out and that if she was going to fight and argue with my son and mock him, then she isn't welcome in my home. She looked shocked and said that I need to stop coddling my son and stop feeding into his ridiculous delusions. I just told her to pack her shit. She said that her daughters will remember this and that I shouldn't be surprised when no one wants the weird side of the family, meaning my son and I, around anymore. I feel bad because her daughters looked genuinely upset, and I mean my son could be lying as well. And it maybe his love for the water isn't healthy, but that's never crossed my mind before. Am I the jerk for asking my stepkid to be nice to my own kids? So, I 30 for F got married a year ago to who we'll call Ryan, 40 for M. Ryan and I were together for 2 years prior to getting married. We both knew about each other's children. I have a pair of twins and an older child, 5M, F, 8M, and he has 2 kids, one living with their mother, 15M, and one living with us, 14F, who we'll call Anna. Anna came to live with us because she no longer wanted to deal with her mother. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I don't expect her to tell me any more than that. Her father and I discussed the situation, and I do not tell her what to do or treat her as my own child, but ever since her moving in a year ago, things haven't been super fair to my children, nor has she been nice to them. If needed, I'll provide a few examples, but I'm trying to stay under the word count. Most recently, she absolutely refuses to let them play anything on the PlayStation and has been doing so since last year. Ryan bought her a PS5 for Christmas, but when setting it up they decided that her PS4 was better and sold the PS5, so she decided to put that money aside and save up. Now, my children can't use the PS5 because it's sold, but they can't use the PS4 because she refuses to let them after one incident. I did confront Ryan about this, but he argued that I said he shouldn't get them anything tech-wise, and that the PS5 wasn't a gift for them anyway. He didn't decide what to do with it. I accepted that argument. Now, I've been asking her to be nice and let my kids have a turn on the PS4 when she's not using it, which she doesn't do much. She only plays for an hour after school on Wednesdays, weekends, and whenever she has a friend over. She said no time and time again. A few of those times her reasoning changed from, "What if it happens again?" to my PlayStations in my room. I don't want them in there too. If they really want to play, you should buy them their own. And while that sounds like a great solution, I don't see the point in buying a whole new one when there's already one they can use. So, I asked her father about it and he said that I need her permission since it was a gift to her and her things aren't his to have a say over, so after trying time and time again, I gave up. But then she and her girlfriend went out yesterday to get coffee and buy some books. She wasn't here, so I thought it'd be fine to let my kids play, since they couldn't bother her since she wasn't even in her room and my kid swore he wouldn't do what he did last time. It was going great until 4 p.m. and I heard my kids crying as well as screaming. I went upstairs to check and sure enough Anna threw them out and was yelling at them. I told her to talk to them calmly, then she screamed at me as well. Nothing happened this time and nothing was broken. I personally think she overreacted, but Ryan still hasn't talked to me and neither has Anna. My friends agree with me though, but now I'm not so sure. AITA?